Hello everyone. The second season of Squid Game is filled with symbols, hidden references, and complex plot details that I will share with you today. Enjoy watching. At the beginning of the season, we see K-hoon encountering the host in a motel, but soon realizes it's just a nightmare. The problem is, how could K-hoon see the host in his dream if they had never met face to face? The answer is simple: he couldn't. This is a clear mistake by the series creators. Some viewers argue that Ki-hoon could have seen the host when he won the first Squid Game, but this is impossible because Ki-hoon had a blindfold on the whole time. This scene was likely shot for the trailer to intrigue fans and accidentally made it into the final version. In one of the scenes in the amusement park, there is a minor detail. When we meet Gart 11, a food stall with a squid sign flashes in the background. The name of the establishment translates from Korean to squid, matching the first part of the Squid Game logo. This small Easter egg, added by the creators, directly references the series title and the season finale. At the beginning of the season, the recruiter offers the homeless a symbolic choice: a piece of bread or a lottery ticket. This scene is clearly a critique of modern society, highlighting that people often choose hypothetical money over basic needs, even if the chances of winning are slim. A perfect metaphor for the entire Squid Game, don't you think? On first viewing, the Russian roulette game scene is puzzling. Why doesn't the recruiter kill Ki-hoon immediately? The motives become clearer later. The Squid Game organizers commit horrible acts, but follow a strict code, a set of rules that do not allow them to kill anyone outside the game zone. This applies not only to the recruiter but also to all members of the organization, from the lowest ranks, such as the guards with circles, to the host himself, who could easily kill Ki-hoon without returning him to the game. In the second season, Chun-ho could tell Ki-hoon several times that the host is his brother, but he doesn't. His silence is explained by his emotional bond with his brother. Chun-ho knows what the host is doing but still hopes that his brother is acting under duress, not out of malice. The brothers have a complex and deep relationship that is interesting to observe. While talking to Ki-hoon in the limousine, the host makes a reference to the Matrix and the red and blue pills. However, in Squid Game, the colors are reversed. Red symbolizes returning to normal life, and blue symbolizes participating in the games. In the first episode of Squid Game, there is a major reference to a cult classic film. I suspect it will appeal to discerning viewers. The scene with two losers forced to play Russian roulette mimics The Deer Hunter, starring Robert De Niro. At the beginning of the season, we learn about a new rule. After each game, the survivors can vote to end the competition and share the accumulated prize money. But why is this necessary? The new rule is directly related to the hosts and organizers' philosophy. People are ruled by greed. For society, money will always be more valuable than life itself. Theoretically, players can vote to end the games and go home, but the host knows they won't, and he is right: greed always wins. During the red light game, Ki-hoon, trying to help other participants, steps forward to explain the rule and suggests starting the game together. Effectively, he gains an advantage by moving a few meters towards the finish line. Such a trick would have made winning easier if Ki-hoon had that goal, and no one could blame him for it. Moreover, upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that this game has no clear starting line. In such a competition, an extra couple of meters can make a huge difference. At the beginning of the second season, the creators draw an interesting parallel with the first season. When the first game ends, Ki-hoon speaks out against the organizers, referring to the third clause of the agreement. This scene almost entirely repeats a scene from the first season. After the first game, Ki-hoon's best friend spoke the same words. Viewers unfamiliar with K-pop might not have noticed that a K-pop star appears in the series. Thanos is played by the very popular South Korean artist Choi Sung-hyun, also known as T.O.P. Hearing that the guy with purple hair is named Thanos, any viewer would likely think of the Marvel character. Indeed, the reference to the supervillain is not limited to just the name. It is noticeable in a couple of frames, but Thanos from Squid Game has his nails painted in the same colors as the Infinity Stones in the gauntlet. As I mentioned, the role of Thanos is played by the famous singer T.O.P., but there is another celebrity in the series. The role of player number 222 is played by South Korean K-pop performer Cho Yoo. Right. All participants have their personal belongings taken away, but the purple-haired rapper Thanos is allowed to keep a necklace that not only can be used against other players but also contains drugs. This is a serious oversight, and the only possible explanation is that the organizers deliberately broke the rules, hoping that under the influence of the pills, the rapper would behave more interestingly and entertain the rich viewers in unusual ways. Ki-hoon participates in Squid Game for the second time, unaware that the host is disguised as player number 1. Many viewers may not remember that the host is far from a novice in the games. In the first season, Chun, who was looking for his brother, who was also a participant in the games and eventually recognized his brother in the host. When the host introduces himself as another player, he uses the fake name Oh Young. The subtlety lies in the surname. Young wore number 1 from the first season and, as I suggested in the previous video, is the host's father. A coincidence? I don't think so. Write what you think about this in the comments. It sounds incredible, but the host could be the son of OL Nam, the very creator of Squid Game, pretending to be player number one. What is this theory based on? At a moment of calm, the host offers a packet of milk to a pregnant girl and explains that he cannot drink it. In the first season, while having breakfast with El Nam, Kai-hoon mentions that as a child, he could not drink milk because it did not digest well. Il Nam responds that his son suffered from the same ailment. The theory may seem far-fetched, but why would the host mention milk if it leads nowhere? It's too obvious a coincidence to ignore. The theory sounds intriguing but is not without flaws. As I said, the host participated in Squid Game as a player. Why would he do that if he is El Nam's son? And what about Chun Ho? He is also El Nam's son. The theory definitely needs refinement. I will definitely dedicate a separate video to this question and would love to hear comments. In the first episode, we see several times how guard Love Evan and the girl he interacts with in the amusement park make a special hand gesture. But what does it mean? This gesture is widely used in Korea and symbolizes a heart or love. In Western countries, people show heart shapes by folding their palms together. In Korea, this is done by crossing the thumb and index finger. The gesture is usually used in communication with children, as shown in the series. You may not have noticed, but in the new Squid Game, there is a special rule for distributing prize money. At the very beginning, players learn that they can vote to end the competitions. In this case, all surviving participants share the accumulated amount equally. In the first season, this rule did not exist, and the money was distributed differently. In the first game series, surviving participants had the opportunity to leave, and if they did, they would get nothing. Moreover, it was clearly stated that if the competitions were stopped, the accumulated prize money would be transferred to the families of the victims of the first game. You probably noticed that one of the main characters in the second season is a transgender woman named Cho Hyun-ju. An important detail you might have missed is related to this character's voice. Cho Hyun-ju is played by a man and has a male voice, but in dubs into other languages, female voices are used. In creating the second season of Squid Game, a large part of the set from the first season was used, such as the common room or the field for the first game. The areas where the guards are located, on the other hand, have undergone significant changes. In the first season, they looked neutral, and the design used calm white-green tones. In the new episodes, black and orange colors predominate in the same zones. Throughout the season, Guard 11 is repeatedly reprimanded for shooting players in the head or chest, making it impossible to extract organs. And this seems illogical as Guard 11 is the only one reprimanded for damaging bodies. Other guards kill participants by shooting them in the head or chest but do not fear the consequences and face no punishment. In the first season, it was only hinted at the second. It becomes clear that the organs of some deceased participants are sold on the black market. But who is involved in this? Probably individual employees rather than everyone. Pay attention. Some coffins are marked with a barely noticeable cross. Those contain undamaged bodies. Probably, the sale of bodies is not known to either the organizers or the rich viewers. The second season reveals the nature of the guards. For example, from Guard 11's story, we understand that these are people experiencing financial difficulties and working for the game organizers to pay off debts. But how are they found? The series creators do not explain directly, but I have an interesting theory. Kai-hoon first meets the recruiter in the metro, and before the game of Dakji, the recruiter, without going into details, asks Kai-hoon to choose a blue or red envelope. Kai-hoon chooses the blue envelope, and judging by what we saw in the second season, this is a very important decision. I suggest that those who choose blue become players, and those who choose red become guards. The next detail can only be noticed when watching the series in the original language. If you don't know, the North Korean accent is noticeably different from the South Korean one. In the second season, a character from North Korea, Kang-no-il, appears in the series. In the first season, there was a similar character, number 67. Both speak with a North Korean accent, but only when they are with family or people they trust. When communicating with strangers, the girls try to hide their northern accent and imitate the southern one. This decision by the series creators is deliberate and reflects real-life circumstances. Many North Korean refugees living in South Korea work on their accent to blend in with the crowd and avoid possible discrimination. In the amusement park scene, many viewers noticed what seemed like a plot error. The girl gives Guard 11 a drawing, and in the drawing the girl has long hair, although by that time, she is already completely bald. In fact, this is not an error but important detail demonstrating the creator's attention to detail. The viewer learns that the girl is seriously ill and has lost her hair during treatment but still imagines herself with long hair and wants to grow it back. When the players enter the pentathlon arena, 3 words can be seen on the entrance door, which translate to strong, fast, and tenacious. At first glance, the words indicate how participants should behave during the competition. But that's not right. Word slogan has long been used in South Korean schools to motivate children during sports events and physical education classes. The creators approached the second season with due attention, and there are practically no editing errors in it. Nevertheless, I managed to catch one very small error. Some might think I'm nitpicking, but here it is. So, Chun Ho is having lunch with his mother. In front of him is a bowl of rice and various other bowls, one of which looks like noodles. In the first shot, Chun Ho takes the noodles and puts them in the bowl filled to the brim with rice. In the second shot, the same bowl noticeably empties. Moreover, in the first shot, Chun Ho holds the noodles with chopsticks, but in the second shot, he no longer does. We are used to seeing guards enter the common room armed, especially before the start of a new game. However, you probably did not notice that the guards do not always walk with weapons. For example, upon their first appearance, they have nothing in their hands, but in all other cases, they always carry submachine guns with them. This detail is far from accidental. Before the first game, the participants do not yet know the true nature of the competitions and do not suspect that deadly danger awaits them in the games. The guards deliberately enter without weapons so as not to scare the players prematurely. Soon after Thanos appears on the screen, he talks about his father and mentions one feature. His father imagines that a bug is implanted in his brain. At the beginning of the second season, Kai-hoon removes a microchip from his ear, with which the Squid Game organizers tracked him. So, perhaps Thanos' father is not making it up. It is unlikely that he won the games, otherwise, he and his son would be rich. It can be assumed that he participated in a game that ended prematurely due to voting and received psychological trauma for the rest of his life. In the game with the carousel indoors, there is a glaring error that is hard to miss. At one of the game's stages, the numbers of recently eliminated and deceased participants are announced. Among them is number 104. However, a few minutes later, it can be seen that the player with this number is still alive and well and participating in the competition. Many viewers like the green tracksuits that the players wear. Where did these suits come from, and is their color symbolic? The answer can be found in an interview with the director. Wang Dong-haik reports that the creation of the costumes for the game participants was inspired by the sports uniform that was in vogue in Korea when he was in elementary school. According to the director, children played the same games shown in the series and were even punished for losing. In the new episodes, we meet an unusual character, number 125. This is a young man named Min Soo, who is terribly shy and even cowardly. He first betrays the only person who supported him and then allows this person to die. The actor playing Min Soo is named David Lee. Looking through the cast of the first season, I discovered that the same actor plays a rich viewer in an Nolan mask. What do you? Is it just a coincidence or a hint at an unexpected plot twist? Be sure to write about this in the comments. I think everyone remembers the scene where guard 11 shows pity for player number 2046, the father of the sick girl shown at the beginning of the season. But in the final minutes of the season, player number 246 still dies. What is the point of his storyline? Something suggests that the player actually managed to survive. You may not have noticed, the person who shoots player number 246 wears a triangular sign like guard 11, and his shot is directed not at the head but at the body of the victim. With a high degree of probability, player number 246 was spared. Guard 11 did the shooting, and player 246 is alive, and both will be shown in the third season. What do you think? How realistic is this? Soon after the start of the competitions, we learn that one of the participants is a YouTuber promoting cryptocurrency. He invested money himself, persuaded his subscribers to do the same, and went bankrupt. Is the cryptocurrency he talks about real? Yes, but appeared simultaneously with the second season of Squid Game. On the first day, its value significantly increased, obviously thanks to the series, and a few hours later, it sharply decreased. In the last episode of the second season, it turns out that the ship's captain has been an accomplice of the game organizers all this time and has been leading Chun Ho by the nose. What does this mean? Most likely, the brothers' story is not over yet. Perhaps the host not only deliberately shot Chun Ho at the cliff, giving him a chance to survive, but also ordered the captain to pull him out of the water, getting the opportunity to watch over his brother and protect him. Towards the end of the second season, many players rebel against the guards, but is there any point in this? With Kai-hoon, everything is clear. He wants to stop the organizers and prevent the players from killing each other for money, but the rest act inconsistently. If there were more people who wanted to stop the games, they could easily use the new rule. And even if a fight breaks out during the voting process, this would only increase their chances of being in an advantageous position. But the majority supported the games, so why did they decide to rebel? To go against heavily armed guards with bare hands is pure suicide and zero chance of winning any money. It is hard to believe that people who have survived 3 whole games would behave so recklessly. Here is another detail that probably few noticed. It underscores the cunning and ingenuity of the host in the role of player number 1. In the game with the top, the host fails 3 times but then manages to spin the top correctly. Obviously, he is just pretending that it is difficult for him, but in reality, he is well acquainted with this game. If you look closely, he makes the first 3 unsuccessful attempts with his right hand and the last perfect throw with his left. The conclusion is obvious: the host is left-handed. He is deliberately delaying the test and enjoying the players of fear. Throughout the season, Ki-hoon directly interacts with player number 1, not suspecting that he is actually the host. As I said, the main character has never seen the villain's face, so he cannot recognize him. But what about the voice? Most of the time, the host speaks wearing a mask that distorts his voice. But in the last episode of the first season, the host talks to Ki-hoon without using a disguise. Ki-hoon vainly hears the host's voice and could probably recognize him in the second season. Of course, it should not be forgotten that Ki-hoon talked to the host 3 years ago, and it may be difficult for him to remember the voice of a person he does not know personally. Everyone understands that the host is far from virtuous. Another example can be seen in one of the scenes of the final episode, where Ki-hoon explains how he intends to take revenge on the organizers. He says that the real enemies are at the top and control all the players from there. At this moment, everyone present looks up, except for the host. He briefly raises his eyes but quickly returns to Ki-hoon and continues to stare at him. After it became clear that the host is left-handed and deliberately lost in the top game, everyone began to look for inconsistencies in the series related to this fact. Many noted that at the beginning of the player's rebellion, the host holds the weapon in his right hand, not his left. But I would not call this an inconsistency. Many types of firearms, including the MP5 submachine gun shown in the series, have a specific design and are intended for right-handed use. An experienced shooter will take such a weapon in his right hand, even if he is left-handed. This will be more convenient and effective. I admit that while watching the second season, I occasionally felt that the host was about to change and side with the players, but in the final episode, he irrevocably destroys this feeling and returns to the role of a ruthless villain. And yet there is one small detail that made it clear from the very beginning that there was no hope. Telling Ki-hoon about himself, the host not only gives him a fake name but also mentions a wife who is allegedly very ill and lying in the hospital. By that time, the viewer already knows that his wife has been dead for at least a year. Now, let's move on to the most important question that is not directly related to the new episodes but desperately interests everyone. When should we expect the final, third season of Squid Game? Recently, a short video accidentally appeared on the Netflix Korea channel. The description of this video indicated the release date of the third season June 27 to 2025. This information has not been officially confirmed yet, but given the circumstances, the chances are quite high. What is the meaning of the post-credits scene? Is there really going to be a new game with a girl doll and a new boy doll? I think not, and I can almost certainly prove it. In the short post-credits scene, several players participate, one of whom is number 100. Number 100 is an elderly participant with a debt of 10 billion. He plays an important role in the second season. Number 100 is completely gray-haired, easy to recognize, but in the post-credits scene, he looks different. It seems this is a completely different person, which suggests a return to the past. Most likely we are being shown the previous Squid Game, the one from previous Squid Game, in which the host won. And that's all for today. If you like this video, don't forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. Your activity is the best reward for me. Thank you for your attention. See you soon. Bye.